Somewhere in Alaska, right now, a woman is hauling 80,000 pounds of steel through temperatures that can freeze a person solid. No cameras following her. No crew. Just her, her truck, and 1,000 miles of frozen wilderness. You might recognize her. Most people assumed she disappeared when the show ended. They were wrong. Lisa Kelly was born in Michigan, but Alaska made her. When she was just 6 years old, her family moved to a small farm in Sterling, Alaska, and that frozen, unforgiving place shaped everything that followed. She tried college back in Michigan, lasted one semester, then went home to the north and started living a life that made 0 sense on paper. She drove school buses. She pumped gas. She delivered pizza. And in her spare time, she became a freestyle motocross champion. This was not a woman built for quiet. She was drawn to speed, to machines, to anything that pushed limits. But the biggest machine was still ahead of her, and the road that would change everything was even further north. She talked her way into trucking almost on a whim. It looked interesting. That was enough. She got hired by Carlisle Transportation, started in a delivery van, earned her commercial license, and worked her way up to the most demanding route the company ran, the Dalton Highway. Hundreds of miles of frozen road cutting through total wilderness, all the way to the Arctic coast. Most drivers fear it. Lisa learned it like a second language. And it was there, on one of the most isolated stretches of road in North America, that a television producer came looking and found exactly what they needed. In 2009, ICE road truckers wanted something they had never had. A woman. The show had already built a following by following drivers hauling freight across frozen lakes where a single mistake meant plunging into water cold enough to kill in minutes. But it was a world of grizzled men, and the producers wanted to change that. Lisa Kelly's boss recommended her, and she stepped in front of the cameras for season 3. The impact was almost immediate. Here was a young woman, calm and unshakable, holding her own against veterans on roads that terrified grown men. Audiences connected with her instantly. But here is the part the magazine profiles left out, and it reveals everything about who she really is. When she was first hired, she was essentially told she was there to be eye candy. And for the first 2 or 3 years on the show, the production did not pay her at all. Her trucking company gave her a small bump instead. The woman who would become the face of the series was treated as decoration and compensated with almost nothing. She kept showing up anyway. She kept doing the job. And she kept outperforming everyone who had underestimated her, which turned out to be a lot of people. Because what came next was not a frozen Alaskan lake. It was the Himalayas. The show spun off into something far more extreme, called IRT Deadliest Roads, and Lisa Kelly volunteered to go places that broke other drivers completely. In 2010, she was sent to India to navigate mountain passes carved into the sides of cliffs, narrow dirt tracks with 1,000-foot drops inches from the tires, no guardrails, oncoming traffic on roads barely wide enough for one vehicle. Drivers on that trip quit. The conditions defeated them. Lisa Kelly became the only North American driver to complete the journey. The following year, they sent her to Bolivia and Peru to drive the infamous death road through the Andes. Same story. While others panicked or turned back, she pressed on. Mile after mile, through conditions most people cannot even imagine, she just kept going. But the most dangerous moment of all did not happen on a mountain road in South America. It happened on a frozen river, close to home, and it almost went very differently. She has described sliding her truck backwards off a hill while chaining up the tires, having to leap over a guardrail and roll down a slope to safety as the rig went. She talked about keeping her door open every time she crossed questionable ice, ready to jump out the instant she felt the surface give beneath her. Her co-star Daryl Ward once had to pull her truck out with a loader as the river ice cracked around it. She has always been honest. Trucking is mostly boring, right up until the moment it becomes terrifying. But the cold was real. The roads were real. The ice was real. And so was the bond she was building with Daryl Ward, a bond that would be shattered in a way nobody saw coming. By 2015, Lisa and Daryl were more than just two faces on the same show. They were genuine partners. Ward had started his own trucking company, D. Ward Trucking, and he brought Lisa in with him. They were building something real together, beyond the cameras. Then, on August 28, 2016, he boarded a small single-engine plane near Clinton, Montana, flying home from a trucking trade show. The plane went down. Daryl Ward was killed. He was 52 years old. For Lisa, the loss was devastating, and then the show kept going. She went back to film the next season without him, and she has said it did not fully hit her until she returned and her partner simply was not there. On top of the grief, all the business responsibilities Daryl had carried were now hers alone. She did not walk away. She brought in his son, Reno, to help keep the company alive, refusing to let what Daryl built disappear with him. That decision said everything about her character. And it prepared her for what came next, because in November 2017, after 11 seasons, Ice Road Truckers quietly aired its last original episode. The cameras stopped rolling. Most people assumed Lisa Kelly's story was over. She had other ideas. Here is the thing about Lisa Kelly that almost every Where Is She Now article misses. The trucking was never an act. It was never a character she played for television. It was her actual life, her actual profession, the thing she genuinely loved. So when the show ended, she did not reinvent herself. She did not chase the next reality gig. She just kept driving. She stayed on the Dalton Highway, the same brutal 1,000-mile route from Fairbanks to Prudhoe Bay, hauling fuel through punishing cold, year after year, while the world assumed she had vanished. But she was not just someone else's driver anymore. She was about to become her own boss, and the name she chose for her company tells you everything. Around 2021, Lisa relocated to the Fairbanks area, bought her own Peterbilt, and made the leap every trucker dreams about. She became an owner-operator. Her company is called Arctic Fox Trucking, the nickname that had followed her for years, now stamped on something she built herself. The woman once hired to be decoration, who went unpaid for years on the show that made her famous, now owns her own rig and runs her own outfit in one of the harshest places on earth. And she has been completely clear about what she wants from this chapter. She does not want a fleet. She does not want employees. She does not want an empire. She wants to hook up a tanker, drive to Prudhoe Bay, and drive back again. After everything, the fame, the danger, the grief, what she wants is the work itself. There is something quietly powerful about that. But the trucks are only half the story of who Lisa Kelly is today. On her Alaska property, she breeds and rescues horses, Tennessee Walkers, Gypsy Vanners, miniature horses, and she has spoken openly about the heartbreaks that come with it, including losing a foal and an injury in 2024 when one of her horses stepped on her leg. She processes those experiences through music, using an app to create songs about the things she goes through. She runs a YouTube channel. She warns fans about impersonator accounts trying to scam people in her name. She even lent her voice to a trucking video game and became a playable character in it. She skydives. She hang glides. She flew with the Navy Blue Angels. The ice road was never an aberration. It was simply the most visible expression of a person who has spent her whole life running toward the edge. And then came 2025, and a twist that brought everything full circle. After 8 years off the air, the History Channel announced that Ice Road Truckers was coming back. Season 12. And Lisa Kelly was returning with it. The revival premiered on October 1st, 2025, and she came back not as the young unknown who had debuted in Season 3, but as a 44-year-old veteran, a business owner, an owner-operator who had never once stopped doing the work. She slotted in alongside old faces and new rookies, the experienced hand showing the next generation what this life actually demands. Her personal life had shifted too. The marriage she had built with a man she met buying a motorcycle back in 2004 had eventually come apart, worn down by the distance between her world and his. But she had found someone new. A fellow trucker. Someone who, in the words of the History Channel's own profile, speaks her language. After years of her partner not fully sharing her world, she found someone living right in the middle of it. Her net worth is most commonly estimated around $500,000, a number that surprises people who assume a decade of television fame must have made her rich. But it reflects the honest reality of this life. For her first years on the show, she was not paid by the production at all. Even at the peak of it, the money was never extravagant. One of her fellow drivers on the revived season put it plainly: a trucker might clear $75,000 to $100,000 in a season, but only by working to the bone for 3.5 months straight, in brutal cold, on roads that can kill you. That is not easy money. That is hazard pay, earned one frozen mile at a time. Lisa Kelly owns her truck, owns her business, has her horses and her property in Alaska. She is doing well. She is not famous rich, and she has never once pretended to be, because she never did this for the fortune. If money had been the goal, there were 1,000 easier ways to chase it than hauling fuel to the edge of the Arctic Ocean and back. She did it because the road, the cold, the machine, and the challenge are simply who she is. The paycheck was never the reward. The drive itself was. Lisa Kelly is the rarest kind of reality star, the kind who was never playing a role at all. While others faded, she kept driving, built her own company, lost a partner and carried his work forward, took 8 years out of the spotlight and never once stopped being exactly herself. The cameras came back, and she was right where they left her. Out on the ice. Exactly where she belongs.